Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Lee Min-ho in tears as Song Hye-kyo walked down the aisle. Part 1. The shocking reveal that broke the internet. In a twist no one saw coming, Dispatch has once again sent shockwaves across the entire entertainment world. On a quiet Sunday morning, while fans across Asia were still rubbing the sleep from their eyes, Dispatch released what is now being called the most breathtaking wedding reveal in Korean entertainment history. The headline was short, powerful, and enough to stop hearts in an instant. Lee Min-ho in tears as Song Hye-kyo walks down the aisle. Yes, you read that right. The very same Lee Min-ho, the man adored globally for his iconic role in Boys Over Flowers and his magnetic presence on screen, was captured in raw, unfiltered emotion as he stood waiting at the altar. And the woman walking toward him, draped in the most ethereal white gown, was none other than Song Hye-kyo, the timeless goddess of Korean drama, the woman who has defined elegance for over 2 decades. Fans had speculated about their connection for months, but no one, absolutely no one, expected the bombshell to drop like this. According to Dispatch's footage, which has now gone viral across every social media platform from Seoul to Los Angeles, the private wedding had already taken place in utmost secrecy. Only a handful of family members and closest friends were present, and the atmosphere was described by an insider as something out of a dream, intimate, breathtaking, and overflowing with love. The clip that tore through the internet was just 30 seconds long, yet it held enough power to ignite an emotional storm. It showed Lee Min-ho, dressed in a perfectly tailored black tuxedo, his usual charismatic composure melting into something the world had never seen before. His eyes glistened with unshed tears, his lips trembling ever so slightly, and in that moment, he wasn't the superstar adored by millions, he was simply a man, deeply in love, overwhelmed as the woman of his dreams walked toward him. And Song Hye-kyo? She looked like she had stepped out of a fairy tale. Wearing a delicate off-shoulder gown adorned with lace and pearls, her veil cascading down like a waterfall of light, she radiated a kind of beauty that words can barely contain. Every step she took seemed to echo with history, legacy, and a silent promise of forever. Fans who saw the video described the moment as an entire love story captured in a single walk. The reaction online was instantaneous. Twitter, now X, exploded, hashtags like #MinutHYOWedding, #Lee Min-ho Song Hye-kyo, and #Dispatch did it again climbing to the top of global trends within minutes. Instagram Reels flooded with emotional edits of the footage, TikTok creators recorded live reactions with tears streaming down their faces, and YouTube fan channels began uploading breakdowns of every frame as though analyzing a cinematic masterpiece. One fan wrote, "This is not just a wedding, this is history. 2 of Korea's biggest legends, together in one frame, in one lifetime, in one love story." Another said, "I feel like I'm watching a K-drama finale written by the universe itself." But perhaps the most powerful comment came from a fan in Seoul who had reportedly spotted staff preparing at the secret venue weeks earlier. She wrote, "We thought it was just another brand event. We never imagined it was a wedding that would rewrite Korean entertainment history forever." The venue itself remains a mystery for now. Dispatch blurred out many details in their reveal, protecting the privacy of the couple. But whispers say it was a breathtaking garden estate tucked away on the outskirts of Seoul, decorated with thousands of white roses, candles flickering against the evening sky, and a string quartet playing softly as Song Hye-kyo made her way down the aisle. The emotional core of the story, however, remains Lee Min-ho's tears. This is a man fans are used to seeing as strong, unshakable, larger than life. Yet here he was, vulnerable and human, overcome by love in a way that shattered every expectation. That single image, Lee Min-ho holding back tears, his hands trembling as he watched Song Hye-kyo, has already become the defining symbol of their union. Industry insiders say the secrecy was intentional. Both stars had lived their lives under the constant spotlight, with every rumor, every date, and every relationship dissected by the public. This time, they chose to love quietly, privately, and then shock the world with the truth in the most cinematic way possible. And judging by the response, it was a masterstroke. As Dispatch's headline continues to echo across platforms, fans are left with a million questions. How long have they been together? When did this love story begin? Who attended the wedding? And most importantly, will the world get to see the full wedding video that has been rumored to exist? For now, all we have is 30 seconds. 30 seconds that changed everything. 30 seconds that left millions of fans across the globe speechless, teary-eyed, and in absolute awe. And this is just the beginning. The hidden love story that no one saw coming. Because now that the secret wedding between Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo has been revealed, fans and insiders alike are piecing together the trail of subtle clues that had been hiding in plain sight for years. And what they are discovering is nothing short of breathtaking, a love story so carefully protected, so masterfully concealed, that it feels like the script of the greatest K-drama ever written. According to Dispatch, the seeds of this romance were planted long ago, far earlier than most could have ever imagined. The two had always spoken about each other with respect during interviews, but no one suspected that beneath those professional compliments lay a quiet admiration that would one day blossom into something eternal. It reportedly began at a private industry dinner in 2016. Both stars were at the height of their careers, carrying the weight of international fame on their shoulders. Song Hye-kyo had just completed her legendary run with Descendants of the Sun, while Lee Min-ho was still basking in the global frenzy of the airs and preparing for his next big project. At that dinner, a close friend seated them side by side. What began as polite conversation turned into hours of laughter, shared stories, and according to someone who was present, a spark so natural, it was impossible to ignore. Still, life pulled them in different directions. Song Hye-kyo's personal life became a storm of public speculation, while Lee Min-ho's career demanded his every waking hour. Yet somehow, quietly and steadily, their paths kept crossing. A fashion event here, a charity gala there, a shared brand endorsement that saw them attending the same international schedules. Each time, fans caught fleeting glimpses, a smile exchanged too warmly, a gaze held a second too long. But because they were icons in their own right, people dismissed it as mere professionalism. Now, with the wedding revelation, every single one of those moments has been re-examined under a new light. That 2019 fashion show in Paris where Lee Min-ho was spotted glancing across the runway with an uncharacteristic softness in his eyes. Fans are calling it the silent confession. That 2021 charity event where Song Hye-kyo laughed a little too hard at one of his comments, cameras catching the twinkle in her eyes. Fans now label it the moment of no return. But the biggest clue of all came just last year, when Dispatch reported Lee Min-ho was seen entering a quiet art gallery in Seoul late at night. At the time, it was written off as another celebrity sighting. But today, insiders confirm Song Hye-kyo was already inside, waiting for him. The gallery's owner, who wishes to remain anonymous, described that night as unforgettable. They walked hand in hand between the exhibits, whispering, laughing. They looked not like celebrities, but like two ordinary people completely lost in each other. Their relationship, it seems, was built not on flashy public displays, but on stolen moments of peace away from the chaos of fame. Midnight drives through the city. Coffee dates at hidden cafes known only to locals. Walks along the Han River where they disguised themselves as ordinary couples, blending into the night. Each memory, each secret meeting, added another layer of strength to their bond. And yet, even as they grew closer, they were determined to protect what they had. Both had experienced the unforgiving scrutiny of public romances before, and they were unwilling to let history repeat itself. This time, their love would be theirs alone, quiet, sacred, untouchable. That's why the wedding came as such a shock. No leaks, no rumors, no teasing breadcrumbs leading up to the big day. It was the ultimate surprise, orchestrated by two people who had learned to navigate fame with masterful precision. Insiders claim even their closest colleagues had no idea until the very last moment. One actor who has worked with both confessed, "I've known them for years. Not once did they slip. To see them together now, it feels like witnessing destiny." And destiny is exactly the word fans are using. Because when you think about it, who else but Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo? He, the eternal prince of Korean dramas. She, the queen of timeless elegance. Together, they are not just a couple, they are an era, a legacy, a symbol of everything Hallyu has ever stood for. As footage of Lee Min-ho's tears continues to circulate, many are beginning to view those tears not just as an emotional response to his bride, but as the culmination of years of secrecy, patience, and sacrifice. It wasn't just about seeing Song Hye Kyo in white, it was about finally being free to love her openly, without fear, without hiding. It was about reaching the end of a journey that began quietly in the shadows and finally stepping into the light. One fan summed it up perfectly in a viral tweet. They waited. They endured. They chose each other, over and over again. And today, we get to witness their forever. As part 2 of this unfolding story sweeps through global headlines, one thing is clear: this is more than just a celebrity wedding. This is the unveiling of a love story that had been written in whispers, protected by silence, and revealed in the most poetic way possible. And still, the world is hungry for more. What happened inside the ceremony? Who were the lucky few invited? What promises did they exchange when the cameras weren't rolling? Dispatch promises more revelations in the coming days. And fans, still reeling from the shock, are holding their breath for the next chapter. Because if the first 30 seconds already broke the internet, imagine what the full story will do. Finally brings us into the heart of the moment the world cannot stop talking about, the wedding ceremony itself. The day Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo said their vows and sealed their destiny, leaving not just their fans but an entire generation of drama lovers in tears. Dispatch, true to its promise, has now released extended details of the ceremony. Though the couple had gone to extraordinary lengths to protect their privacy, insiders have revealed breathtaking glimpses into what is being called a once-in-a-lifetime event, a wedding so perfect that even the most romantic dramas pale in comparison. The wedding was held in utmost secrecy at an exclusive garden estate tucked away in the rolling hills of Seoul. The venue, rarely accessible to outsiders, was chosen for its natural beauty and privacy. Imagine lush green lawns bathed in golden sunlight, a pathway lined with thousands of fresh white roses, and delicate strings of fairy lights twinkling in the early evening air. A crystal-clear stream trickled nearby, its soft sound mingling with the gentle notes of a live string quartet. Guests described the setting as a hidden paradise carved straight out of heaven. The moment everyone is talking about, of course, is Song Hye Kyo's walk down the aisle. When the doors opened and she appeared, time seemed to stop. Wearing a gown crafted by one of Korea's top designers, she embodied every fantasy ever written about love. The dress was simple yet otherworldly, an off-shoulder creation that flowed like water, adorned with delicate lace embroidery that sparkled under the warm lights. Her veil, cascading down her back, was so sheer it looked like sunlight had been woven into fabric. And there at the altar stood Lee Min-ho. Normally the epitome of confidence, he looked undone, vulnerable, and achingly human. Witnesses confirm that the moment he laid eyes on her, his lips trembled, his chest rose and fell sharply, and his hands clenched to keep his composure. But the tears betrayed him. For the first time in his career, the man known for his unshakable aura let the world see his heart break open. One guest, fighting back tears themselves, whispered to another, "This isn't acting. This is real." He loves her with every piece of himself. The aisle itself stretched longer than usual, giving everyone ample time to soak in the beauty of the moment. Song Hye Kyo walked gracefully, her eyes locked only on him. Not on the cameras, not on the crowd, just him. And with each step, Lee Min-ho's tears flowed more freely. He reached up to wipe them, smiling helplessly through the emotion, and in that instant, the world wasn't watching two celebrities. It was watching two souls collide in pure love. When they finally met at the altar, he reached for her hand. The gesture was gentle but firm, like someone afraid to let go. Their fingers intertwined, and Song Hye Kyo gave him a reassuring smile that steadied him instantly. Guests say it was the kind of smile that spoke louder than any words, a promise, a comfort, and an eternity in one look. The officiant began the ceremony, but for most of those present, it was impossible to look away from the couple. Every gaze, every touch, every tear was a story in itself. When it was time to exchange vows, the intimacy deepened even further. Lee Min-ho's voice trembled as he began, pausing often to compose himself. He spoke not as an actor, not as a star, but as a man stripped bare by love. His words, though simple, carried an overwhelming weight. "You were always the light I didn't know I was waiting for. In a world where everything felt too fast, too demanding, you slowed me down. You gave me peace. You gave me love. Today, I promise to spend the rest of my life making you feel the same way. Song Hye-kyo's vow was equally powerful. Calm, graceful, and yet brimming with emotion, she spoke softly but with unshakable certainty. People think our lives are filled with glamour. But you and I know it's not the red carpets or the cameras that define us. It's the quiet moments. The hidden laughter. The strength we found in each other. I choose you, not just today, but every day, for the rest of my life. By the time she finished, many of the guests were openly weeping. One insider confessed, "I thought I had seen beautiful weddings before. But this wasn't just a wedding, it was a miracle unfolding in front of us." And then came the moment the world will never forget, their first kiss as husband and wife. As the officiant declared them married, Lee Min-ho gently cupped Song Hye-kyo's face in his hands. He leaned in slowly, reverently, as though the universe itself might collapse if he rushed. When their lips finally met, the crowd erupted in applause, cheers, and tears. It was tender yet passionate, sealing a love story that had been hidden for years in one timeless embrace. The guest list was as dazzling as the ceremony itself. A mix of close family, dearest friends, and a handful of industry colleagues attended, carefully chosen, trusted enough to keep the secret. Reports suggest that top Hallyu stars, directors, and designers were present, all sitting in stunned silence as history unfolded before their eyes. Yet even among the brightest stars, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo shone the most. What followed was a celebration unlike any other. But before the party began, Dispatch's cameras captured one final unforgettable moment. Lee Min-ho, still holding Song Hye-kyo's hand tightly, whispered something into her ear. She laughed, tears still glistening on her cheeks, and rested her head on his shoulder as the crowd applauded. Though no microphone caught his words, one guest claimed he said softly, "We finally made it." And in that moment, the love story that had been years in the making became the most celebrated union in Korean history.